planet's real name has long been buried under paperwork. On the records, there's only a cold code, S37. People in the blocks call it Salthead because the soil, the wind, even the rain, are heavy with salt. The light here isn't daylight, it's a wound, powdered bone drifting through the air, drying your tongue and pulling tears straight out of your eyes. Lips crack, salt lines form inside the nose, and every breath feels smaller than the last. Hab blocks stand like rows of gravestones, straight, silent, filmed with rust. The Imperial emblems have long since bled away. What remains looks like birds mid-scream, scrubbed with poison. At night, the wind gets so sharp, the windows frost over with a thin skin of salt. By morning, you have to scrape it off with your fingers, otherwise the light will invade the room and make your mouth even drier. I am Zamir, living in a small cell on level 18. For 4 years, I've worked on Salt Harvester Unit 3, pulling veins of salt from beneath the ground, press molding them into industrial slabs, feeding those slabs to the grinders. Simple work, you could say, except nothing here is simple. Between heartbeats, the ground gives a faint groan, as if there's a cry buried in the dry body of the salt. The whistle shrieks, thin and wounded. The corridor's sheen has been rubbed down to dust. Rebreathers are clamped to all our faces. The chest burns bitter. The skin round the eyes stings with salt. No one talks much. Mourning words are expensive. You'll need the energy below. In the communal wash, there's one water for all, recycled, with a metallic tang. 3 minutes per person. Some have soap. Most use industrial degreaser that doesn't soften skin. It flays it. I wrap my hand with an old strip. Inside the grip gloves, salt grit turns any cut into acid. Nimra, our team lead, is speaking less than usual. Her rebreather is torn along the seam. She's tugging a thread inside the mask, biting it tight to seal the leak. Nimra's voice always carried a cold fire, but since last night, silence. They say Unit 2's elevator cage fell mid-shift. Ryan, Nimra's brother, was inside. We got an official memo. Minor mechanical incident. Losses acceptable. Acceptable. Here even death has grammar. The freight elevator growled as usual and sank into the darkness. Salt lines flickered on the concrete shaft like someone had stirred a finger through powder. Every 10 feet, a pale film, like delicate wood fibers. But it wasn't wood. It was bone salt, ancient creatures transmuted and spread like threads. Below lies stratum red, where dehydration becomes a declared enemy. We wear taped-up suits and hydration lines, bitter, acrid water that tastes like acid and lies heavy on the tongue. Today we're assigned to Drill Lane C/27. The floor is scarred slate. Thin white veins run far into the distance. When the rock around a vein looks slightly green, the salt is alive. It drinks from the air and then from your body. Don't touch with bare skin, Nimra still says. Habit speaking. No one here leaves skin uncovered. We arrive to find Harvester 19 dead. Juno, our mechanic, has the gear train open. Salt dust makes his hair look old. Mag clutch is slipping, he mutters. And listen, something's rubbing in there. He thumps the casing. The sound that comes back is wrong. Machines make that wet scrape when steel is eating steel. This is softer. Like a knife dragged over raw skin on a cold morning. Manual, Nimra says. Get the cutters. Aftab and I shoulder our plasma cutters. The hot breath melts the floor into glossy slag. We follow with claws to peel the salt carcass and stack the trays. Each tray sits on a scale. Every kilo accounted for, every account taxed. Imperial math never errs. People do. The first trench runs smooth. Squealing rock, screaming salt, quick smoke. Aftab scorches his glove on the rub. I hand him a patch. In the second trench, the cutter sparks in a chandelier bloom, smoke, with a strange sweetness. Sweet salt? I almost laugh, then something hits my faceplate. Not salt. Red. Stop, I shout. Kill the cut. The flame dies. From the bone salt seam, red water is seeping, thick and dark, catching light like it might clot. Since when does stone bleed? The ground doesn't weep, but either the planet was taking revenge or we'd been cutting into something. Aftab tilts a tray. Sample, he says, as if quick words can hold him steady. Nimra looks away. Juno, bring the harvester back up. We stay manual. I touch the drop with a gloved finger. Warm, alive. It has a pulse. A chill runs upward from the finger, as if something in the dark noticed a glow that shouldn't exist. That night, the first whisper came in Unit 3's dorms. From beyond the wall with the water lines, it sounded like someone chewing salt, slow and regular. Chalk, chalk, chalk. Then a small slip, like teeth skidding on a thin bone. I turn and turn. My mask hangs by the bed. Breathing without it is defiance. The air's salt film can pull secrets out of your skin. By morning, my handprint on the pillow has turned white, the outer layer dead and dry, fresh red skin underneath. Before shift, Nimra meets me in the corridor. Red eyes. Rayan's data disk came back, she whispers. Video corrupt. Last frame, just salt haze, and something moved. A black arm. A creature? I ask. On this planet? No. Her laugh is a stiff, dry crack. Just us and salt. Next morning, Juno gets Harvester 19 running. Clutch is set, he grumbles. We ready the cutters. Nimra checks the schedule, then shifts us from C/27 to C/28. Deeper veins there. We set the harvester down. Juno opens the intake maw, a big black mouth. The machine's teeth are crusted with milky film, like an animal's plaque. When it starts to chew, I hear that wet sound again. Clearer. Kren. Chuk. Kran. I glance at Nimra. She hears it too. She's trained herself to ignore such sounds, but this time she lifts her torch and shines it inside. Light spills across the maw's floor. Something soaked is trapped there, like cloth soaked in saline. Shut it down, she says. Juno hits the switch. We crouch, me, Nimra, Juno, and lean into the mouth. Not cloth, skin, human, puffed, unsticked skin sliding in salt gel. A patch clings, green. Unit 2. Juno turns aside and almost vomits. Only briny blood comes up. Nimra sits down on the ground and stares at her hands, as if she herself had pushed someone into that mouth. Rayan is all she says. The rest dies behind her teeth. The protocol is simple. Report, replace, resume. We file the report. A sanctioned inquiry arrives from above. 2 guards, tired, yellow-eyed, descend, take pictures, send us back to work. Cassette label. Likely accident due to unauthorized approach to intake maw. We keep cutting. Doing this work turns you into glass. Things pass through you. You don't shatter, you just stop being seen. But when I close my eyes that night, I can feel the texture of skin, as if someone laid another person's dead protection on top of my hand. Nimra goes silent. Juno fits a new guard over the maw. So no one gets in again. We all know no one got in. Something came out. 3 days later, the air changes. A salt storm hits and the block windows fill with sounds. Bells, pebbles, the jangle of bead strings, and beneath them a constant whisper. Water. Bring it. I tell myself it's my head. I put the mask on. The voice doesn't stop. Next day, Nimra takes us to Stratum Black. A new pit the storm scoured open. It wasn't on the maps. The higher-ups flag it as a fresh claim, 0 hazard pay, double quota. We go. The ground is black, like someone dipped salt in ink. Fine finger lines score the rock, equal length, evenly spaced, as if someone sang counts with a fingertip. Aftab jokes, playground for spirits. No one laughs. Cutters fire. On the first cut, the black ground screams. Yes, felt, not just heard. The scream vibrates my mask. Then a smell spreads, like rain rinsing blood, then running through salt. My throat locks. I drop to a knee. Nimra hauls me up by the shoulder. "Work," she says. One word, both balm and poison here. That night, I head to Unit 3's reclaimer room, where broken gear, torn gloves, and failed filters pile up. My filter replacement request is crossed out, pending stock. I laugh at the lie and slip inside. It's darker than usual. The light sensor's tired. Someone has written on the wall with a finger, "Salt drinks from your tongue." The letters feel warm, as if traced a moment ago. Something hangs below. Cloth, I think. No, a filter bag. When I get closer, it's a mask, empty. And the strap it hangs from is gouged with 2 round rings where eyes should be, etched by fingernails. Someone breathes behind me, hot, foul, close. I spin, no one. I bolt for the door, it claps shut. I slam the panel, jam. The sensor blinks, light then dark. In that flash I see, skin pasted in the corner. A shadow bent over it, chewing. I drag the mask up, crank the filter full, and throw myself at the door. It opens. The hall is fogged with salt. I run straight to the dorm. That night I sleep with my eyes open while the chalk whisper dances beside the bed. In the morning, Nimra says, "We're going into the black pit." Juno refuses. "Sensors are wrong. Pressure's bad. Quota doesn't accept wrong," she answers. We descend. No proper gantry, just an old storm ladder hammered into the rock face. Below, we learn the black ground isn't ground. It's a scab. Beneath it, a cavity, faint light, a hint of wet. Inside my mask, a drop forms and falls, but I'm dehydrated. From where? Then the smell hits, milky, corpse sweet, salty. Nimra signals, lanterns. We click them on. The light nets the cavity, and then what's inside skin is growing in the cavity. Human skin. In ordered layers, the way salt accretes, but here the layers are skin. In some places, lips protrude from the wall, dry, cracked, and elsewhere eye rings, empty, circled with nails like crops of metal sprouting from a yellow field. Aftab, bravest among us, leans close. Who made this? He might be asking himself. Or us. Even behind the mask, Nimra looks corpse pale. "Back out," she says, but the words go cruel, as if the cavity chews and swallows them. Juno lifts his lantern. The layered skins move, so slowly but alive. A breath. A pulse that's kept someone else's time for years. The eye rings quiver and the nails start to scratch, rough furrows forming counts, the same pattern we saw on the rock above. Nimra looks straight at me. "Cutters," she says. "Scour it." Burn. I raise the cutter. The instant the flame jumps, the skin answers, with a rush of water. Wet heat pours out of the wall, as if something deep inside has wept. Moisture punches through my filter line. Sweetness hits my mouth, the same as that red drop before, only now the dance is water and blood together. My stomach heaves. The flame gutters. Nimra clamps my wrist, forces the plume back up. "Burn," she repeats, and the cavity groans, this time clearly. "Water, bring." A flap of skin on the wall peels, as if plucked by a nail. Under it, eyes shine, like nothing I've seen, half made of salt, washed in blood. In the black centers, I see Rayan, Nimra's brother, his Unit 2 patch, alive and dead in the wall. Nimra steps forward. "Rayan," she says, not a name, a wound. The eyes can't blink. The nails around them tremble, as if saying run. "Pressure spike, ceiling," Juno shouts, and before he finishes, part of the scab overhead breaks. Salt and sand spear down. The lantern dies. Darkness, wet, hot, alive. In the dark, something wraps around my calf, like a tongue. I kick, nothing there. Then a whisper crackles in my mask. "Zamir, bring water. Free me from the salt." It's not my voice, not Nimra's. It comes from inside, behind the filter, as if the filter fibers strained the words and threw them back. Panic explodes. I blaze the cutter blindly. Blue light shows the cavity for a heartbeat, the crop of skins in a rush, and in the middle a mask, like the one hanging in the reclaimer room, empty. But this time, inside the mask, something unseen stirs. Nimra grips my shoulders. "Zamir, climb, Rayan. Up," she says again. This time her voice breaks. He's not." We reach the ladder. Aftab goes first. Juno reseats the hook. The cavity inhales. Skin around the ladder tightens, then swells. The hook gives a crack. I grab Juno's arm. "Go." Aftab is halfway up when the ladder shudders and slides down. Nimra and I lunge to catch him. Tiny nails sprout from the wall skin and pin his boots. Aftab screams, and the cavity drinks his voice. 1 beat, 2, 3, and his body starts to sink into the wall like candy dipped in syrup. Just a patient glug, and he's swallowed to the waist. He looks at me. We hold each other's eyes. I catch his hand. His nails tear my glove. Blood beads through my palm. He says, "Water," and the wall cuts him away and drags him under. Nimra and I freeze. Juno, slick with salt blood, shifts the hook to the other side. There the scab layers are cracking too. Then everything stops. The cavity holds its breath. We're silent. The dark doesn't move. Far off, toward the elevator shaft, an old machine throbs. Systems boot. The lantern stammers. For a blink, I see letters scratched on the wall beside me. Someone wrote my name in salt. Zamir, and beneath it, a wet line. Water. Nimra rests a hand on my collarbone. "Listen," she says. "Climb." "Juno, you too. I'll stay a moment." "Are you mad?" I snap. "Rayan is here," she says. "I'll bring his face." Or something. Otherwise her words cut off. Maybe because the cavity breathes again. Juno nods. It won't let her go. Nimra pulls a microflare from her belt. "Maybe it hates light," she says. "I'll flare a path." "You two go. If I'm not back in 3 minutes, pull the ladder." I protest. Votes mean nothing down here. Quota, protocol, fear, all smaller than Nimra. She snaps the flare. Fat in the skins, sizzles. The crop melts for a second. "Now," she says. "Go." Juno and I climb. From above, the storm jangles, like counting songs in dust, then a rattle at the elevator door, as if a hand tests it. Juno looks down. Nimra's walking with the flare deeper into the wall, toward the eyes. She looks straight at them. "Rayan, if you're here, let me go." The nails around the eyes quiver, like a yes. Then the wall forms a nose, and from it a far, thin voice. "Water." Nimra pulls her hydration line free of the flare and presses the nozzle to the wall. "Here," she says. "If you want to live, beg like a human." A drop falls and dissolves into the wall, like a thirsty spirit drinking. The cavity takes a long breath, and at that precise, fragile moment, the skin behind Nimra opens, like a mouth, and salt teeth spear out. I scream. Juno lets go of the ladder to jump, but the hook slips. I slam sideways into the wall above. The last thing I see, Nimra whirls, throws the flare into the teeth, the fat flares, then smoke, then dark. The hook jerks the chain. I crack my shoulder on stone, and in that last instant, another sight. Aftab's hand pushing back out of the wall, his nails scraping my name Zamir into nothing. Somehow I drag myself up. The storm burns my eyes. Juno's still below, resetting the chain. The first alarms howl from the block. Structure compromise, black pit, evacuate. I look toward a lit tunnel across the shaft. Against the light stands a tall silhouette, human height, broader shoulders, and a mask, the same empty mask from the reclaimer room, only this one moves with the light. It tilts its head toward me, and a whisper comes from inside the mask. Bring water, save Nimra, or give your tongue. The salt is thirsty. My tongue, my throat, my chest turn to dry footsteps marching inside me. I glance back. Juno is still below. From the cavity comes a heartbeat. 1, 2, then stop, like someone pinched a heart between two fingers. I speak into my mask. Maybe only I hear it. I won't bring water. The shadow tilts, almost smiling. The mask is empty, but the smile is felt. Then the salt, the whisper says, will drink from your tongue. The shadow waited at the far end of the lit tunnel, the empty mask tilted like a listening dog. The light seemed to carry it, as if the glow itself were a leash around its neck. Bring water, the whisper came again, silk dragged over broken glass. Or give your tongue. The salt is thirsty. Below me, Juno wrestled the chain hook back into the rock. From the black pit came no cry, no clatter, only the patient hush of a mouth that had learned to chew slowly. I won't trade my tongue, I said, throat scraping, but I'll go back. The mask did not nod. It simply shifted, closer by a step I never saw. Then go, it breathed. She is learning to speak from the wall. Nimra. The word hit like rust in a cut. I slid down the ladder past Juno. You going to die for her, he hissed without looking up. I'm going to remember her, I said. Alive. A lie we both accepted. We dropped together. The cavity's mouth stood open, scab edges weeping. The lantern I'd lost guttered in a shallow puddle, its wick drowned but still exhaling an ember. I pulled it up and fired a microspark. A thin cone of brown light licked the walls. Left, Juno said. I marked our path. How? I asked. Blood, he replied, not turning. Juno's marks were fingerprints in thin curls of red-brown, spaced like beats in a metronome. The skin crop around them had thickened, nails budding like dew. The closer we moved to the place where Nimra had stood, the more the wall learned our shape. It was trying mouths now, not teeth. Those took time, just folds of skin making ovals, pursing, practicing vowels. Oh, 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 one whispered as we passed. I lifted the lantern. The lips shivered under the light, then relaxed, sighing a word that wasn't a word, water without consonants. A baby's first prayer. Keep walking, Juno said. We came to the spot. The flare had scorched a circle. In the circle lay Nimra's hydration line, bitten through. Something had gnawed the steel braid like thread. Nimra, I called low. The walls paused, just for one heartbeat, and then, softly, they answered. Her voice, filtered, drained of color, came from 3 places at once, left, right, and above. Zamir. Step back, I stepped forward. Back, she repeated, like a command to a dog. The wall bulged and peeled. A thin window of meat opened, and through it a shape swam, as if seen from under brine. Nimra's face, not pressed flat like the others, not grown as a harvest, suspended the way a seed hangs in gel. Her eyes were open, and the salt in them glinted like ground glass. It won't let me out, she said, but it hasn't finished me. I'm a lesson it is writing. For who? Juno asked. For itself, Nimra said. It likes our shapes. My knees went soft. We'll cut you free. No. The wall pulsed. If you cut, you open it more. It learns faster where you hurt it. How do we slow it? Starve it, she whispered. Or teach it something it cannot swallow. Like what? Names, she said. The names of what should be remembered. A hiss slid through the cavity, 1,000 skins rubbing. The baby mouths pursed again. Na, me, na, me. The wall was already learning. We needed a plan, and time is a tax. Above ground, the storm writhed. Below, the cavity had woken hunger. We can pull the ladder and bring a proper team, Juno said, thin-voiced. Seal the pit. Flood it with lime. Burn what's left. Nimra gave a grave little smile. And get the memo. Losses acceptable. I put the lantern between us. If we can't cut you, what can we do? For a while, there was only that hush. Nimra turned her eyes. Not the wall, just her eyes, toward the scorched ring. There's a heart, she said finally. It isn't where you think. It's down, but also inside, like a seed under the tongue. You'll know it by... She stopped, the light faltering over her face. By its parable. Parable? It tells a story, she said. That's how it hunts. It tells the right story, and you walk into its mouth willingly. Find the place where the stories are loudest. That's where it beats, Juno swore under his breath. You're delirious. I'm employed, she said. Same thing down here. The walls around us began to hum, soft chords, almost kind. The baby mouths shaped new syllables. Pa, ra, bli. Nails scraped gentle rhythms, the counting song drawn again and again. What does it want? I asked. To be us, Nimra said, and to fill itself with water. We are mostly water. It is mostly thirst. I reached toward the gel window that held her. Heat licked my glove. A thin thread of skin lifted like a leech, sniffing. Don't touch, she said. It takes language easier through the hands. I dropped my hand. How long do you have? 2 shifts, she said. Maybe 1. Maybe I'm already memory. The cavity laughed then. No sound, just a flex that jostled our bones. Under my boots, I felt it. A beat like a slowed drum. Once, twice, the third beat held back, teasing. Parable, it breathed. Na, me, pa, ra, blay. Wa. Till we followed Juno's blood-led marks deeper, past the place where Aftab's hand had scratched me out of the wall. The cavity narrowed into a throat of ribs, overlapping arcs of horn-like salt with skin grown between, scrolls of flesh connecting, twanging like webbing. We had to crawl. The lantern spit tears. At the end of that throat, the tunnel dilated into a chapel. I knew it was a chapel because it believed it was one. The ceiling sagged in an apse, the floor curved into a nave, and on the far side stood an altar. Half stone, half people. They were not whole. They were additions, a jaw here, a shoulder there. A child's ear set like a seashell beside a woman's heel. They had been placed with a devotion so sincere it made the bile in my throat taste like sacrilege. Behind the altar rose a wall of masks, not metal, not polymer, salt. Hollow faces, every one empty, every mouth a perfect O. They were arranged by height and age, so that when the wind from the narrow throat behind us moved, the O's sang the counting song as the air passed. It was almost beautiful. It was engineered grief. Juno bowed his head before I could stop him. Mother of stone, he whispered. What have we come into? The heart's parish, I said. At the altar sat the only thing here that looked alive without the wall's help. A sack stitched of human skin, banded with veins crystallized into white cords. It rose and fell minutely, sipping from a cracked water line that had wormed its way down from the surface. Found your parable, Juno murmured. I lifted the lantern higher. The sack trembled and spoke. Not in words, not first. It spoke in memories, our own, repainted with brine. I saw Nimra and Rayon as children, not on this planet, but on another with less salt and more wind, chasing a dog whose fur tasted of rain. I saw Aftab laughing with a mouth full of stolen dates, the sugar grit on his tongue like small stones. I saw myself, level 18 cell, the window smeared with a sleep-wet palm, and a woman whose face I could not hold, even as the memory offered her to me. It told these scenes like a kindly book, turning pages with a wet thumb. Each page tasted of water. Thirst made truth of lies. "Don't drink," Juno said, but his voice had already gone far. The sack cinched and released. When it loosed, a voice flowed out, Rayon's, fair and exact. "Nimra," it said, "I am home. Open the door." The wall behind us shivered, nails scratched in time. The masks sang welcome. "It learns the exact weight of love," Juno whispered, shaking. I took the cutter in my shaking hand and leveled the flame at the sack. "We end this." The sack tightened. Something slick pressed against the inside of the skin. A face. Not Rayon's. Not anyone's. A face built from what it had heard us say, what it had tasted in our sweat. A US that never was and always would be. Its mouth opened, and this time the voice that came out was Nimra's. "Samir," it said gently, "if you burn me, you will thirst forever." Her cadence, her little patience. I kept the flame steady. "Tell me my name," I said. "You're thirsty," it said instead. "You think your name is a cup." I pressed the cone of heat against the sack. The skin sizzled and wept. The smell was sweetness and pennies. The chapel screamed. The sound didn't come from the sack. It came from the masks on the wall. Each O snapped into a wide cry, and the ribs of the chapel plucked themselves like harps, shrieking strings. The baby mouths along the ceiling opened and spit water, thin jets aiming for the flame. "Hold it!" Juno yelled, dragging a chain from his pack and flinging it around the sack to keep it from rolling. He snapped a clamp onto the waterline and wrenched it closed. The sack bit his hand from inside, nails through skin. He yelped and kicked it. I burned. The skin blistered. Cracks showed white beneath, the meat salt that did the remembering. The faces in the sack rippled, multiplied, Nimra and Rain and my unknown woman, making a chorus of fear. The flame fed on my courage faster than it ate the sack. Faster, I told myself, faster. The lantern went out. Dark. I held the cutter's flame like a hot hand in the night. All around, the chapel wept water, thin rain hissing in the blue. Something heavy fell from the ceiling and burst. It was a tongue, grown thick with salt crystals, flopping like a fish. "Juno," I shouted. "Here," he said from my left, voice inside a bucket. "It's moving. Your chain. Zamir, it's moving." The sack convulsed under the chain, rolled despite him, and pressed itself against my legs. The heat whipped back. A seam split and something slid out, like a slick umbilical and a clotted head. It wasn't a child. It was the parable itself, story made meat, a mouth that spoke without words and a throat that could drink fire. It caught the flame. It drank. The cutter sputtered, whined, and died. The chapel fell quiet but for a wet crackle. The parable slid, reeking, leaving a trail like a slug. From the wall of masks came a rustle, like pages turning. "Zamir," Nimra's voice said again. Not from the sack, from everywhere. The chapel had learned her entirely. "I am not your name," I said into the dark. "You can't have me by saying me." The parable's head rose, shadow against shadow. Its mouth opened. "Let me try," Juno said. His voice was cracked, the sound a match about to break. He stepped between me and the thing. "Hey," he told it, like a man at a stubborn machine. "Come here." Its head turned toward him, slow as a moon. "I have a story," Juno said. The chapel leaned. Yes, leaned, a whole room learning to tilt its body to listen. I was born on a sand planet, he told it. No water to waste. We learned to count it like sins. My father had a trick. He would spit on his thumb and draw a little circle over the mouth of the canteen, just a thin salt ring. And he told me the water inside was sweeter because it had a border. But it was the same water he laughed once, not kindly. I drank like a king and still pissed like a beggar. The parable shivered. You want our names because you think they make borders, he said. They don't. They make debts. He lifted his bleeding hand and let 2 drops fall to the floor. Here. A payment. The drops soaked and the parable moved to them, quick as a lip to a straw. Now, Juno said, run. We ran. The parable followed the debt, the blood, not us. It coiled where the drops sank and lapped at the memory, smacking its boneless lips. We crawled back into the ribbed throat. Behind us, the masks sang again. The counting song turned urgent, quickened, stumbled. Halfway up the throat, a voice stopped me cold. Zamir, it said. Not Nimra, not Rayan. A low woman's voice, a memory I thought I'd never let a mine have. If you leave me here, you'll forget me right this time. I almost turned. Juno shoved me. It's not yours, he said. It never was. Keep moving, I moved. We reached the open of the pit, the scab's broken edge glimmering with salt tears. The ladder waited, a skeleton of bent rungs. The storm above had lightened to a pale, rotten dawn. Behind us, the chapel's song changed to a drone and then to words. It was ready to speak. Water, 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 it said, the way a river says it by drowning. Name, 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 it hissed, the way a banker says it by counting. I climbed first, then reached for Juno. A new mouth bulged under the ladder, lips stretching. I heard a lick, strangely delicate. The rung under Juno's boot went soft. Teeth erupted along the ladder's spine. Go, I yelled. We clambered, teeth nipping air inches from our soles. One bit my heel. It didn't pierce leather. It tasted. The wall's hunger sharpened. Half a body's length below the rim, the ladder convulsed. Rungs rippled like a centipede's legs. Juno slipped. I lunged and caught his wrist. His glove slid on my salt, slick palm. The gloves squealed against each other, 2 skins trying to make a bargain. The wall breathed, 1, 2, and held the 3rd heartbeat back again, mean and patient. I can't hold, I said, honest. Then don't hold me, Juno said. He looked up at me, eyes bright with the boy's mad logic. Hold this. He flung his pack up toward me. I caught it on my shoulder by luck and ghost hands. The weight almost tipped me off the ladder. He smiled. I left you the chain, he said. You'll need it. Juno. He twisted, kicked himself free of my grip, and dropped. The wall opened to receive him like a mother. I pulled myself over the rim and lay there a moment, seeing nothing but the red behind my eyes. The storm pelted my mask with soft salt. The block alarms had gone quiet. That meant nothing good. I rolled to my knees. The pack sat like a curled dog. Inside, the chain coiled. The clamp Juno had used to close the waterline was still attached. Under it lay something flat and wrapped in oilcloth. I unwrapped it. It was a book. No, not a book. A ledger. Juno's red ledger. Names, dates, places, and tiny maps where bodies had gone missing. Not accidents, not acceptable losses. A pattern of mouths across the mine, all connected by storm-scoured seams. At the center of every map, a ring of small, obsessive pen strokes, as if someone had drawn a knot again and again. In the margin beside our pit, he had written only 2 words. Bone Salt Heart. I staggered toward the freight shaft. The silhouette in the lit tunnel was gone. The air smelled of disinfectants and brass. 2 guards waited at the elevator door in their dull armor, rifles cased in salt sleeves. Behind them, a woman in a clean coat whose boots had never learned to squeak spoke without looking at me. "Unit 3?" she asked the air. "Your inquiry is closed." "Closed?" My voice rattled in the mask. "Nimra is alive in the wall. Juno." I stopped. "We need a burn team, sealant, lime, anything." "We have determined there was no safety violation," she said. "Storm exposure made workers hallucinate. Quota resumes at midday." She clicked her wrist slate off. "Your hydration allowance is reduced for insubordination." The guard's eyes floated, pale and bored. "Listen to me," I said. "There is a heart down there. It's using water lines. It's learning us. It will climb." I held up the ledger. "It has climbed again and again." She looked at the ledger as if it were a dirty handkerchief. "Unauthorized literature is an offense. It's a map of your losses." "They are acceptable," she said. The phrase landed between us like a wet rag. The mask in the tunnel. Where had it gone? I looked past the guards and saw a thin smear of wetness along the steel seam where the door met the wall. The smear trembled, listening. "Midday," the woman repeated. She turned and left. The guards followed, slow as clockwork. I was alone with the shaft and the ledger. The smear along the seam bulged. The empty masked silhouette slid back into view, tilting its head at me like a proud animal waiting for a treat. "I didn't bring water," I told it. "I brought an account." It drew nearer, the light walking it forward. Where its hands should have been, nothing. Where its feet should have been, nothing. But when it moved, the salt on the floor stirred, as if under waves. "Accounts are water," it whispered. "They make thirst elegant." I raised the ledger. "Then drink this." I tore a page out, one of Juno's tight maps with its ring of pen strokes, and shoved it into the rebreather intake and inhaled hard. The paper slapped wet against the filter. The mask coughed. The salt silhouette shuddered, as if I'd flung grit into its hollow throat. "You don't get to keep the story," I said through the clogged filter. "I do." It steadied, then leaned so slightly I almost missed it. The gesture was new, almost a bow. "Learn then," it said. "But you will teach me." The smear along the seam retreated, and the silhouette folded back into light. I went back to level 18 as the storm finally bled out into a dirty calm. In the dorm, men and women slept with mouths open like dry wells. I sat on my bunk with the ledger and the chain across my knees and tried to breathe through a filter lined with Juno's paper. Every inhale tasted like ink and old salt. I opened the ledger to our pit. Beside the scrawled words "Bone Salt Heart" was a small drawing I had missed at first, a circle under a tongue, a seed under the tongue. Nimra's words. I went to the washroom and looked at myself in the cracked mirror. Lips cracked, teeth sanded by years of grit, edges shiny as nails. I opened my mouth. At first I saw nothing. Then the light caught where it should not. A translucent pearl sat in that tender place under my tongue, small as a lentil, wet and glimmering. It pulsed once, twice, and held the third beat back, playful, patient. When I touched it with a fingertip, the pearl drank, not blood, not spit, language. The word I was about to say withered in my throat, leaving only heat and a taste of pennies. From somewhere below, under floors and rock and habit, the chapel's choir sighed in satisfaction. I stumbled back, hand to my mouth, and knocked the rebreather from the sink. It fell and cracked. From the cracked speaker, Nimra's voice bled out, very soft, very patient. "Zamir," she said, "speak carefully. The heart is learning what your words are worth." The pearl under my tongue throbbed once, twice, and held the third beat back, playful as a knife. It wasn't metal or stone. It was hunger given shape. Every time I tried to speak, it sipped a little meaning and grew brighter. I strapped on my broken rebreather, stuffed Juno's red ledger inside the chest seal, looped his chain across my shoulder, and went back down. No escort, no permission. The empty mask shadow waited in the shaft light like a dog who'd learned my route. "Bring water," it whispered. "I'll bring a story," I said, and the pearl drank the word story, so I only tasted iron. The black pit breathed. I climbed into its throat and the ribs hummed, recognizing me by my new pulse. The chapel of masks woke in a soft chorus. The sack on the altar rose and fell, sated for now. Nimra's face still floated in the gel window of meat, eyes open, patient as a mountain. "You came," she said, "not with water." I held up the ledger. "With names." The chapel leaned to listen. The parable slid closer, mouth shining. I opened the ledger to the first tight page and began to write names onto the chapel floor with a nail pulled from my glove seam. Aftab's first, then Rayan's, then the numbers without bodies, the acceptable, dead. The pearl tried to drink, but written names don't pass through the tongue. They stay. The wall didn't understand that. It thought speaking and writing were the same thirst. "I learned to write," I told it, voice ragged. "A burial you cannot swallow." I wrapped Juno's chain around the sucking sack, hooked the clamp to the cracked water line, and tightened until the line screamed shut. The chapel hissed, hundreds of baby mouths spraying a fine mist, trying to water the altar. I drew a circle of names around the sack and stepped inside that border with Nimra's name last. As the closing lock, the parable lunged for my words. It couldn't drink them. It tried the chain, tasted iron, and bled. It tried me. I opened my mouth and the pearl surged, delighted, ready to turn my language into its drink. "Take it," I told Nimra, pulling my utility knife. Her eyes widened. She shook her head once, slow. "If I keep this, it will learn me," I said. "If we starve it, it will listen." "Zamir!" I bit down, hooked the pearl with the blade's dull back, and tore it free. White pain, white sun, white salt, my mouth filled with brine and blood. The chapel shrieked as if the sound were its own. The pearl landed on the altar like a seed on dry soil and tried to scuttle back to me. I pinned it under the clamp's jaw and crushed. Silence fell like a lid. The mask's O's froze. The parable drew back, stunned, head cocked in an animal confusion I had never seen in it. Without my tongue's seed, there was no fresh meaning to drink. Without the line, no water. It was a heart meeting a room with no air. I opened the ledger, lips thick with pain, and read anyway. Sound mangled, vowels ruined, and the chapel learned something it couldn't digest, remembrance without flavor. Names said as scars, not as nectar, a story that closed. Juno's chain creaked, the sack on the altar bucked, groping for the past. The circle of names tightened. Nails along the walls changed rhythm, the counting song breaking into an off-beat that wasn't consumption. It was hesitation. "Rayan," Nimra whispered from the gel window. "If you're here, stay gone." The wall quivered. 1,000 small mouths tried to shape goodbye and failed. They could say water, name, hunger. They had no shape for letting go. "Teach it," Nimra said to me. So I did. I taught it an old, simple rite from a world with rain. We speak a name once, and then we keep our mouths closed. We do not eat it. We do not drink it. We carry it like a stone in the pocket until the cloth wears thin. "Tab," I said, wrecked and soft, and then I shut my bleeding mouth. The chapel rippled, wanted the second sip, the third, the endless litany, and received no more. It tried to pry my jaw open with sound. I refused. It learned denial. The ribs buckled. Skin peeled back. Gel popped like bladders. Nimra's window sagged and tore. She fell forward into my arms with a sound that was not prayer and not pain, just breath at last. The parable slumped on the altar. The chain held. The waterline wept a dry squeal. The masks cracked one by one, their O's shattering into pale teeth. Ryan did not return. That too was a lesson. We climbed, Nimra and I, dragging each other when the ladder bit, coughing ink and salt. At the rim, daylight lay dirty and miraculous. The empty mask shadow waited, wavering in thin sun, smaller without its thirst. "Bring water," it whispered out of habit. "No," Nimra said, and the word was a door closing. We sealed the pit with whatever we had, foam, plates, prayer. No team came. No memo changed. Quota resumed. The storm moved on like a forgetting animal. In the nights that followed, the chak-chak whisper faded from our block. Men and women slept with jaws unrigged. Nimra coughed salt for a week, then coughed less. She kept Rayon's knife and Juno's ledger beside her rebreather, and sometimes I caught her writing a new name on a scrap and folding it 3 times the way you fold hope. I cannot speak the way I did. Words fall sideways now. Some never arrive. When I try to say water, my mouth makes weight. It is a fair trade. I keep the chain near in case the chapel ever learns to thirst again. Maybe we only taught it to wait. Maybe that is what bones do, hold the shape of a hunger until someone names it closed. One evening, long after the alarms went quiet, Nimra stood at the window and watched the world's white wind. "What do we call this place?" she asked, "now that it knows our names?" "Graveheart?" I tried. The sound came out crooked. She shook her head. "No, Hifs," she said softly. "Keeping. We stood together and kept what we could. Below, the old heart learned to beat without our tongues." At mercy of salt, debt of blood follows Zamir, a miner on a salt-poisoned world where the living are temporary and the dead become statistics labeled acceptable losses. After a storm opens a new pit, Zamir's crew discovers a living cavity, a chapel of masks and layered human skins, fed by water lines and by language itself. The heart of the mine hunts with parables, mimicking lost voices to lure workers. In the first descent, they find proof of devouring, skin in a harvester's maw, and the voice of Nimra's lost brother, Ryan. During a rescue attempt, Aftab is taken, and Nimra becomes suspended within the wall. Juno, the mechanic, logs patterns of disappearances in a red ledger titled Bone Salt Heart, and ultimately sacrifices himself so Zamir can escape with the ledger and a clamp chain. Zamir discovers a pearl-like seed under his tongue, the heart's conduit for drinking meaning. He returns alone, armed with the ledger, names of the dead, the chain, and a plan. Starve the heart of both water and words, and teach it a story it cannot swallow. In the chapel, he clamps the water line, chains the sucking sack, and draws a ritual circle of names around it. To break the throat the heart has in him, he rips the pearl from under his tongue, losing clean speech but denying the mind his meaning. He then speaks each name once, and closes his mouth, teaching the heart remembrance without consumption. The counting song falters, masks crack, Nimra falls free. Rayan does not return. That absence, too, is learned. Back on the surface, administrators ignore the truth. Quotas resume, but the pit quiets. Zamir and Nimra seal it and keep the ledger, a memorial and a warning. He cannot say water. His mouth makes weight. Together they rename the world Hif's keeping and guard what memory the salt could not devour.